Okay, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Oscar Film Forecast. It's been a while since an episode with me and Ben predicting together. I believe our last video was our final predictions for the last Oscar ceremony,
Mm,
which was a long time ago. So
yeah.
now we are back. It's August, and we're going to predict very early on, as right before we head into the festival season, our predictions for the 2022 Oscars taking place in, I believe, March of 2022.
Mm.
So, how are you feeling about it, Ben? Are you ready?
I'm feeling ready. Yeah. Again, it's always very hard to know this early on. You always say some really stupid shit that you regret.
Mm-hmm. Antebellum, Janelle Monáe, she got close.
She got very close.
Very
She got
close.
very, very
Very close.
close. Okay.
And
Um,
yeah, we will be starting with Best Picture today, of course, the biggest one. And of course, the change this year, we are at a strict, strong 10 nominees. No, 8, 9, 7. Going to be 10 locked in. So that's a good change, and that makes the predicting number easier. So it's just 10. And then some honorable mentions. So speaking of honorable mentions, what honorable mentions for Best Picture do you have, Ben?
well, I have four. Again, there's lots of movies to choose from, but I only went with four, and that's
Yeah.
because I don't really see any of these movies happening. And if they do, look, they probably will. They're movies that people expect to happen, but I'm not
Yeah.
very sure. So, The Last Duel, I don't see it.
Mm.
I see Jodie Comer. I don't see anything else
Okay.
except for tech. West Side Story, I hope not. I really hope that this movie just does not happen. I think it's just such an arrogant, I'm Steven Spielberg, look what I can do now at this late stage of my career. I really, really hope that this film just look. I know people worked on it and they probably worked very hard, but I
Hmm.
just don't like it.
Yeah.
Meeting the Ricardos. I think that's what it's called. The Aaron Sorkin
Being the Ricardos, I think.
being
Yeah.
being the Ricardos. Sorry, I just wrote down
Yeah.
Ricardos.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not sure if it's going to release in time.
Yeah,
Like,
that one's there were a lot of movies that like Canterbury Glass, I think Taika Waititi's next movie, Next Go Wins, all of those pushed to next year. I think that one's still like in the gray area, but yeah, I don't even have that on honorable mentions just because I think the casting is a little weird. I don't see either of them really fitting both of those
yeah,
roles, and I just don't trust Aaron Sorkin as a director. So maybe it could get in screenplay, but
mm,
that's about it.
yeah,
Is that all?
I agree.
Okay.
Then Matt at the very end, but
Ah,
that's just yeah. I can't wait
yes,
to see that movie.
I'm excited to see that too. I hope it does well, but the distributor concerns me. So for my honorable mentions, I have Don't Look Up. I don't have faith in this movie personally. We had a little teaser released for it a few days ago, like a 30-second teaser.
Mhm.
I think it'll be entertaining, but I think it'll be a little too much. I mean, Vice got in, so that helps its chances because Vice was a lot of not
Of
very
amazingness and just
of
incredible filmmaking. Just what a phenomenal movie that was.
to about 50% of the people who saw it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it has an amazing cast, but I don't know. I just personally don't have a ton of faith in it. Cry Macho, which is Clint Eastwood's next movie, he probably
Mm,
only has a few more shots of getting in there, so who
mm,
knows? I also have Coda, which is I
mm.
think right now Apple TV's biggest contender for the season.
Yeah.
Um, but I think it releases relatively early in the season, and
It releases next week.
it does, yes. So I don't know how much buzz it can keep for like 6 months. And I believe that's it. I also wanted to shout out what is it? Um, A Journal for Jordan, which is
Yeah,
Denzel Washington's next movie with Michael B. Jordan. Um,
that's fair enough. Yeah, I agree with everything. Again, movies will fall. I'm sure movies
yeah.
in our top five will have no chance of being nominated by the time that comes around.
Hmm.
Films in our honorable mentions will be front runners. That's just the way it always works.
Yep.
But right now, I think I do agree with everything you said. I forgot to really put in Cry Macho because I don't really see Clint Eastwood as that type of filmmaker anymore. And
Yeah.
I only really knew about its existence yesterday when the trailer came out.
Hmm.
So, but I'd actually like to see it because I've liked all of his movies recently. I thought The Mule was pretty good.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one. I know it's a little divisive, but he's a little hit and miss. I know 1517 to Paris was definitely not the best.
Oh, I forgot about no, that doesn't count.
Doesn't help
Apologies.
his case. So what do you have at number 10, Ben? Ben
At
10.
number 10 is a film I really don't see happening, and I don't really have it anywhere else except for honorable mentions. That's The Tragedy of Macbeth.
Wow, that low. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just, again, you always say something you regret. I'm probably wrong, but I don't see it. That's just
Hmm.
me. I don't see Frances McDormand making it. I don't see anybody else. Denzel, again, I have them all as honorable mentions, but I don't really see this movie going to the heights as some of the other films on the list. It's a feeling I have. You always get these weird feelings that end up being wildly true and great, Rosamund Pike, or just
Yeah.
wrong, like
Partial,
just dead ass wrong.
partially true with Rosamund. She didn't get all the way to
Yeah,
the Oscar, but she did get a Globe.
no, I'm delighted for her though.
Yes, well, I will be getting to Tragedy of Macbeth a little bit later, but right now for my number 10, I have The Humans. Last year we had a big play to movie successful campaign with The Father, and this is kind of a similar situation with the playwright, I believe, writing and directing here. Some of the original play's cast members are here. So yeah, I think there could be some strong performances. It's a very well acclaimed play that won a bunch of awards. So yeah, this far out, I would put that at number 10. It has a good cast: Stephen Yeun,
Hmm.
what's his name? Richard
Richard
Jenkins.
Jenkins.
Uh, the woman who's in the play, I believe Jane something. Jane.
Hmm.
I'll talk about her later, so I'll
Yeah,
bring up her full name later. But yeah, I think that one has a pretty good shot. So that's my number 10.
hmm. I'm very excited for that movie. Actually, I have
Yeah,
that not too far up, but I do have it on here.
I
I'm
believe
excited for
it's
it.
I believe it's A24, so that doesn't help. But
It doesn't. No, it's very sad they haven't been able to launch any movie since Moonlight at all,
they
which is
did
weird.
Minari. Minari did pretty
Oh,
well, but
Minari. Did Minari. Well,
that was in a less competitive year, so that was to their
yeah,
advantage.
yeah, and they've had some really good gems as well, and
They
they
have
they've just fallen flat
good
on their face.
uncut gems.
Uncut. That was a great. I loved that movie.
Yes,
But number 9, another film I don't think is going to happen. Tick Tick Boom.
that's funny. I also have that at number 9.
Ah, we are on the same wavelength with this one.
Yes.
Well, why do you have it? Why do you have it at number 9?
Um, Honestly, probably because right now I don't think Netflix has a ton of contenders. In the past like 2 or so years, we've had Netflix get at least one or two movies in there. And right now I think there's one movie that I will talk about later that I think is probably going to get in there. And this would be the second one. They're usually able to squeeze two in with their amount of money that they use for campaigning.
Mm.
And it's a musical, kind of. Andrew Garfield is a great actor.
Yeah.
And, Lin-Manuel Miranda, he's kind of untested as a director. The trailer looks good. So I could see it happening, but I could also see it totally not happening. So
Yeah.
how about you?
Same with me. For my bottom 3 or no, for my bottom 3, I'd say definitely I could see them completely not happening because my number 8 is The Humans.
Ah,
Mm.
yes.
So just relatively similar with those movies because again, they're the type of movies where I don't really know a lot about them. You kind of have to see the reaction, the buzz
Mhm.
as we get closer to the releases, and that will happen. But for now, I think they're safely towards the bottom of
Yeah,
the top 10.
yeah. They've got an outside shot. They've got more of a shot this year because there's about two more spots open. So
Mm.
good chance for them. So that's both of our nines. What do you have at number 8 then, Ben?
The 8 was The Humans.
Oh,
So what's
okay.
your number 8?
My number 8 is going to hurt a lot of people's feelings. House of Gucci is my
Mm.
number 8. I would say that it's lucky to even be in my top 10. I've been thinking about it a lot lately. And you know what vibes it gave me from that trailer now that I think about it? Gave me all the money in the world vibes. which
That
is
was
a
a great
movie.
movie, though. That was a really great
It
movie.
was a,
That
it was
should
a
have gotten nominated.
it was a good movie. I don't know if I'd go with great. But I don't know. I just Ridley Scott has two contenders this year, and after the trailers for both, I guess I should say my number 7 right now is The Last Duel.
Oh,
So I have a little more faith in that one after the trailer in
mm,
being more. It just looked like more of a awards movie to me
mm,
than House of Gucci. Um, House of Gucci has some good actors in it. You know, could get a few performances in there, but I also think compared to The Last Duel, it has more of a chance of not
mm,
working, of being bad. I
mm,
think Last Duel could just like be okay. I think there's
mm.
more of a range for House of Gucci to like just be straight up bad. Like
Don't let the Twitter people hear you say that, Jack.
I know
Can't
they're
say
gonna
shit like
they're gonna be upset, but
that. Mm,
that's okay because they'll see where I have Lady Gaga later on.
mm,
So yeah, I think it could be like Vice or something the few years ago where it
mm,
doesn't get great critic reviews, but it still gets in there because uh, it's got a lot of good aspects about it, even though Vice didn't
mm.
really. I don't know, but that's where I have it
Eh,
right now.
Well, we'll disagree on the masterpiece that Vice is, and we'll just move
Yes.
on to my number 7, which is House of Gucci.
Ah,
Uh, whatever. The trailer. Lady Gaga's coming for that Oscar, guys. Yeah,
nice
sure
accent.
she is. Um, like, oh my God, those accents, Jesus Christ! Like, oh my
Mm,
God, Jared
not
Leto's
the
lucky he
best.
has all that makeup on, or he would not have a chance at the nomination.
I think he's just going to get a nomination for the makeup.
Yeah,
I honestly don't think
exactly.
he's going to give a good performance. I mean,
No, I mean
last year he almost got in for what's it called?
the
That
little things, and
yeah,
I watched that movie, and look, he was fine in it. Like, but there have been better psychopath killers in movies.
yeah,
Like it's not even a question that he was only okay.
yeah,
And I like Jared Leto. I know you don't, and that's totally
yeah,
fine. Um, but I like Jared Leto, and that was totally uncalled for. Him getting
yeah,
attention for that movie, uncalled for that movie getting any attention whatsoever. But
yeah,
look, I'm sure we'll get to Jared Leto later on. That is
yeah.
my number 7. What is yours?
My number 7 was The Last Duel. Um,
Oh, right.
Ridley
So
Scott's, I think, movie I have a little more faith in. So now we're off to your number 6.
my number 6 is Edgar Wright's The Last Night in Soho.
Ooh, I should have put that in honorable mentions, but
Mm,
I just I want it to do good. I think
mm,
people are maybe being a little too hopeful in it doing
yeah.
good. I know it's going to the festivals, but it just looks so genre-y
Mm,
that who knows, maybe it could be like Get Out and get in there, but I don't see like the way these genre movies like Black Panther or Get Out get in is usually
mm,
because there's like a social aspect to them, but I
mm.
don't really see that. But why do you think it's going to get in there?
I honestly don't. It's more of a hopeful thing. I don't even like. Again, people like lost their shit for the trailer. I really liked it. Um, I think with Last Night in Soho and Dune, which I'll have later on, they're either both gonna just happen or they're both just not gonna happen.
Yeah,
Uh, I think I expect both of them to significantly underperform at the box office, and I don't think that's gonna help either of them. Particularly the Last Night in Soho. If that kind of bombs, I think it's kind of the end of the road for that movie. Dune, I think could survive as a kind of a pity thing, but Blade Runner 2049 didn't, and that was just a masterpiece. Like that, like the fact that that couldn't get in there is telling.
sad.
But I'll get to Dune later on. Last Night in Soho looks like it's a love letter to giallo horror films, which are really interesting.
Yeah,
And if the Academy is open to something like this, which I really hope they are, instead of nominating West Side fucking Story, like they have an opportunity to do something interesting. I
yeah,
hope they take it because this looks very interesting.
yeah. They do occasionally, once every decade, take the interesting road.
Hmm.
Um,
Could have been last year where they'd actually nominated 8 great movies, and then
yeah.
like the first time ever.
Well, 7 great movies. They were very close, but Mank kind of messed it up for them. You know, there's
Mank
always
was enjoyable. I didn't. Why do you hate Mank? You never
that
actually kind of
one
told me.
that one
I had never.
kid who never works on the project just messes everything up. I don't know. You just have to know so much about old Hollywood for it to really work. It was very boring.
Well,
I
I
think it was a
watched it
little.
with my aunt, who loves old Hollywood, so she was telling me all this stuff while I was watching. I was watching it with her because it was like I don't really want to watch this movie, but the Oscar nominations are in like a day, so watch
Yeah.
this with me. And so she did, and she's into all of it, and she explained a lot of it to me. I knew a lot about the politics of the time, and it was really interesting to kind of watch that play into the movie. And I just kind of saw it as a cozy kind of old Hollywood type movie. I didn't love it, but I
Hmm.
thought it was kind of enjoyable towards the middle of the crowd with like Minari and Trial of the Chicago 7. I just thought it was grand. But again, I understand if you find that movie
Hmm.
boring, you were not along for the ride, which is totally
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. It's good for a nap time,
Mm,
Uh,
yeah,
so at my number 6, I have a movie that I don't think will be a nap time. I have Soggy Bottom from Paul Thomas Anderson.
that name.
I know I don't know if that's going to be the real name. They haven't really officially announced it. It looks like it, but that's right now like the kind of name that it has, the unsure name, but yeah, it's a weird name. But Paul Thomas Anderson most of the time gets in there. There's a few like Inherent Vice or something where he doesn't, but
That was
most of
terrible.
the time he's a pretty consistently Oscar friendly and very good director. We don't much know much about it. I know it has stuff to do with old Hollywood.
Mm,
That helps it.
yeah.
It has, I believe, Philip Seymour Hoffman's son in it.
Mm,
So there's that going for it, and has Bradley Cooper in a supporting role. So, and it's Paul Thomas Anderson, and we don't really know much beyond that, but I think that's enough to say
mm,
it has a pretty good shot of getting in there.
yeah. I think it could be interesting. It takes place in 70s Hollywood, which
Hmm.
was the kind of time that Quentin Tarantino wrote out of history in his Hollywood movie, which is
Yeah.
interesting. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing this director talk about that era of Hollywood that was kind of defined by the Tate murders. But they probably
Yeah.
won't mention that in the movie, but it was like an adjustment period that happened, and so it's going to be interesting to see because Paul Thomas Anderson's not stupid. I mean, he kind of was for making that terrible movie a few years ago, but the dresses. What was that called?
Phantom Thread. Yes.
Yeah,
Not
fuck
his best
me.
work, but I didn't hate it.
Oh, I wanted to. I probably can't say because I'll be cancelled or whatever. But Jesus, let's just say I wanted to go yeet off of a cliff. It was not an enjoyable time, and I paid money to buy that on Blu-ray. I was devastated. Um, I can't remember what I was saying. Yeah, Soggy Bottom. I think it's going to be really interesting. It is my number 5.
Oh, it's your number 5. Cool.
Yeah,
Did we get your number 6 already?
yeah, Soho.
Yes.
Mm. So
Awesome.
I am looking forward to the movie. I think it's going to be really interesting. Um, I really like what it looks like they're doing. Um,
Hmm.
some people are saying it's like I don't know what he's trying to do, but I am so along for the ride because I really like the pitch. And
Hmm.
so I am there. And I think all the really narcissistic people in us in the academy are going to say, Old Hollywood, I'm old, I'm from Old Hollywood, I'll totally vote for this.
Yep. They just love their Hollywood, which makes sense because they're from Hollywood. But
Yeah.
yeah. So now off to my number 5, which is The Tragedy of Macbeth. You had at number 10, I believe.
Yeah.
I can't see an overall like film package like this not working. Like you have Joel Cohen directing, you've got Denzel, you've got Frances McDormand. It's in black and white. I forget who the cinematographer is, but I think he's done some good Oscar fair movies before. And it's A24 and Apple teaming up together. So it's like you've
Mm.
got like the artistic flair that is going to bring out some good quality in A24, and you've got Apple, who's going to just throw all the money in the world, as we were talking about earlier,
Yeah.
at it to campaign for it. So I just think it's got a really good shot of getting in there. I doubt it will win just because they don't
Mm.
really like Shakespeare stuff a ton in the Academy. But I think it's definitely going to get in there.
Well, I mean, you see films like this fall apart all the time. Films that look like frontrunners and are just fall apart. Like Mother completely fell apart. Star vehicles like Boy Erased, Vox Lux, they all kind of fell apart.
Mhm.
Widows, that was Steve McQueen's
Yeah,
follow-up,
that
completely
was
fell
sad.
apart. Movies, yeah, that was sad. That's one of my favorite movies, but it just Blade Runner 2049 is just a movie there, and these films just do not get any attention when they look like massive front runners. So that's just the way I see the tragedy of Macbeth falling this way around. Again,
Hmm.
I'm probably wrong. It'll probably be something different, like it probably House of Gucci or Tick Tick Boom or something like that. But we'll get there when we get there. Personally, I just see it following in the footsteps of Mother and being
Hmm.
too unique. But we'll see.
Yeah. Well, if that does happen, you get to say you called that this far out. So
Yeah,
got it
I'll be
on
very
tape.
proud of that.
So what do you have at number 4?
Number four is a film I'm still not sure is coming out or not, but I really hope it is. Guillermo del Toro's Nightmare Alley.
I believe it is,
I
yes.
I'm ecstatic for this movie. I cannot wait. It's just my type of movie. I love
Hmm.
Guillermo del Toro. I'm one of the few, I would honestly say, few people who just adore The Shape of Water.
Yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah, there's some people who I saw that movie with my grandmother. She hated it
Oh
so
wow.
much. She just and everyone in my life hates it. Everyone who I've made watch has hated it. People online hate that movie. I just think it's phenomenal, and I love Guillermo del Toro as a filmmaker. I think what he does is really unique, and I'm glad to see him working with such an incredible cast: Rooney Mara, Bradley Cooper. It's going to be great, and I am really hopeful for its awards prospects.
Hmm. Well, I might as well talk about it right now. It's my number 2, Nightmare Alley. Uh, yeah. I mean, you also got Tony Collette in there. You got Willem Dafoe. You've got Richard Jenkins again. It's a really good cast. It's his it's his follow up to where he won Best Picture and Best Director. So he's got his Oscar spotlight on him. Usually, there's a big spotlight on people's follow up after they win a bunch of Oscars, and it's based off of like I forget like a book or something
Mm.
apparently, and also there was an old movie about it also, which I think got good reviews, but I don't know, it's old.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just seems like another over like kind of like I was mentioning with Tragedy of Macbeth, and overall just
Mm.
everything combined together, it's hard to see it not working, but
Yeah.
who knows.
It could fall apart like Beale Street and First Man. It
Hmm.
could. I don't see it though. I'm
Yeah,
pretty excited for the movie, and uh, I can't wait to see what Guillermo del Toro does next. So, did you give your number five or number
I gave
four?
my 5, but now it's time for my number 4, which would be West Side Story. You know, I don't want it to be this high, but I mean, it's Steven Spielberg doing an Oscar Beatty movie, which over like the past decade, whenever he does one, it gets in. So like anything besides Ready Player One or BFG has gotten
The
in.
abortion that is the post.
Yeah, yeah, that got in for some reason.
Christ.
Yeah, so I don't think he'll get into director, which is I guess good for other directors because he doesn't need to be nominated for everything. But
Mm.
the movie, I mean, it's Fox Searchlight, which I think not Searchlight, it's Fox. But
Mm.
I mean, which is also Nightmare Alley, and they're just kind of I think they're easily the best studio when it comes to awards contenders. I mean, they just won last year with Nomadland. They're
The one with the Shape of Water.
yeah, they're very consistent, and I think they usually get more than one movie in there each year.
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, I just I don't know. I also feel like the Ansel Elgort
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
has died down a lot, and I feel like it could be brought back up, but I don't know. I feel like it's not going to be as big of a deal as it probably should.
If it wasn't brought back up for Jared Leto last year when he was getting all
Yeah,
those nominations, I don't see it with Ansel Elgort. But I I don't know. I have zero faith in that movie. I probably won't even see it unless it's majorly people talk about it. I just don't want to
yeah.
support a film like that. It's just too lazy. It's too like worship me. Look
Hmm.
what I'm doing. Look what I can do.
Yeah,
I whatever.
and it's
Number
just it's sad in this year of so many musicals, especially great musicals like In the Heights, that this
yeah,
is the musical that has the best shot of getting in there. But
yeah.
that's
In
the
the
way the
Heights,
Oscars are work.
I'll be totally honest with you. I turned it off after like 20 minutes. I should have seen it in the cinema, so I couldn't have left. I
Hmm.
just was not interested at all. I will finish it by the end of the year, but probably in like November or something.
In the Heights.
It'll take a lot for me to watch that movie.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
not a musical person.
I thought it was pretty good, but doesn't really have an Oscar chance anymore. So R.I.P. Its Oscar chances and its box office, but
Yeah.
people liked it generally.
Yeah. Everyone's moving on to better things, and by everyone I mean Leslie Grace, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Yeah. Anthony Ramos is going to
number.
be in Transformers. Good for him.
Oh yes, with Dominique Fishback from. Oh, I love her.
That's a
so
good
much.
cast.
That's a great cast. If they mess it up, it's on them.
Yep. It's all on them. So now it's your number 3, I think, right?
My number 3
Yes.
is it probably your number 1, but it's
Mhm.
my number 3. It's The Power of the Dog.
Oh no, that is also my number 3.
Okay, great. I'm gonna let you talk about it because I know nothing about it. So you just go. You go ahead.
It's based off of, I don't know a ton either. I know it's based off a book, which I think most books that get made into Oscar-free movies are generally good. Got Benedict Cumberbatch in it. It's got Kirsten Dunst in it. It's got Jesse Plemons in it. Thomasin McKenzie, who's going to have a big year. All of them. It's from Jane Campion, who hasn't done a lot of movies recently, but she did have, I forget what it's called, a Oscar. I think The Piano was her last big Oscar contending movie, which was a little while back. And it's I think it's when you look at the fall film festival schedule, it's easily Netflix's biggest contender this year.
Definitely.
They're putting it everywhere. So when Netflix thinks you're its biggest contender, I think you're almost definitely going to get in there. Just if you look at the past few years, like I think last year, I'm not sure if they thought Mank or Trial was their biggest contender. I think at first maybe they thought Mank, and then they switched to Trial, but neither of them really worked out. Then, you got Marriage Story, Irishman. They can't really pick a big contender, it seems like. But if you're one of the big contenders, you're going to get in there. And I think this is definitely their biggest contender. And I think it's also got a lot of great acting chances in it for nominations.
R.I.P. Pieces of Woman and I Care a Lot, which was better than both Trial and Mank, which is very sad.
Yeah.
Whatevs. That is a film I'm definitely looking forward to. I'm definitely going to watch it.
Yeah.
I just don't know a lot about it right now, but I knew that it will probably almost certainly be up here come March 2022. So now we move on to my number 2, which is a film that's either going to totally happen or it ain't, and that is Dune. But I'm just so excited for this movie. Like, I'm really, really excited.
That's great.
Because I really love Denis Villeneuve, but I was thinking about this before we logged on to do this, and that's that he's never actually left Earth before, like in any of his movies. Blade Runner 2049 was a futuristic version of this Earth. Arrival was a very human story about aliens, which is funny enough, and all of the other films are very much based in reality. Sicario and Prisoners and Enemy. He's a very good director, and I love his movies. But I'm interested to see how he takes the transformation to space. It'll be very, very interesting to see. But I'm really looking forward to it, and I know you probably have it at number 2. Do you? Or
2 was Nightmare Alley for me. So Dune I have at number 1. Of course, I can't. I mean, I need to commit to it. So right now, I do have it at number 1. I just do think it's definitely going to get in there. In terms of winning, I think it needs to be like amazing. I think probably if they do a part 2 or part 3 would have a better chance at winning, kind of like Lord of the Rings did.
Yeah.
But who knows? If it's like revolutionary, maybe it could. But I look at it kind of like Mad Max Fury Road. It's going to get into picture, probably no acting, and it's going to like sweep a ton of the technicals.
Yeah.
So that's the way I look at it. And it's Warner Brothers, surprisingly enough. Now that In the Heights is dead, it's their biggest contender. They're also, when you look at the fall festival lineup, they're putting it everywhere. They're putting it on the same path that Joker and A Star is Born went on, which both did very good at the Oscars. Kind of A Star is Born. But yeah, so I think it's definitely getting in there. So I have it at number 1.
Speaking of committing and speaking of number 1s, the most based movie that's going to come out this year, that'll be Adam McKay's Don't Look Up.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got people from the Bernie campaign working on this movie. You have an amazing teaser. You got Meryl Streep playing the president. Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence living it up. You got Jonah Hill gonna do some ad lib. He's gonna kill it. This film's gonna be incredible. I'm so excited for it, and I definitely think that it is gonna be a movie that people sleep on at first. Totally fine. We all do it, but I think it is gonna take off. And be nominated. Again, I don't think it's going to win. You never really know what's going to win this early on, like unless you're like a Nomadland or something like that.
Yeah.
So again, this is just what I think is likely to be nominated. And number one, I think Don't Look Up is probably the most safe bet, in my opinion. Again, I could be wrong. But it's the most safe bet. Adam McKay hasn't missed. He has Leonardo DiCaprio. He has not been, like, he's always nominated for Best Picture. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, he shouldn't have been, and it was. Revenant really shouldn't be, and it was. If it's the same with Don't Look Up, I think it'll at least be a great movie. And I love Adam McKay's work. Yeah, he screams at you, but honestly, what he screams about are stuff that I think is pretty necessary to scream about. I'm happy he's out there doing it. I know that people don't like it, but I'm a person who does, and I'm really excited for it. So Don't Look Up is my number one.
Well, we have. I didn't see that one coming, honestly. But you never know. It does have a great cast. It is Netflix. Could happen, and who knows? Maybe it will. Maybe I'll end up loving it. But
You never know.
Yeah, you do never know. So those are our those are our initial predictions for Best Picture this far out in August of 2021 for the 2022 Oscars. In a few months, more than a lot of months.
We have 7 months until this shit ends. These are by no means our final. These are we have 7 months of this stuff left, guys. Yeah,
it's going to be an interesting path. Hopefully, no more COVID issues for this Oscar season. Let's really hope for that. Any final things for Best Picture you want to say, Ben, before we get out of here?
I want to say that there's always movies that come out of nowhere and surprise you. Judas and the Black Messiah, Promising Young Woman, and Sound of Metal all became some of my favorite movies of all time. I didn't even know they were coming out this time last year when we were talking about Best Picture. You never know what's going to happen. You will have films completely fall away. Da 5 Bloods, like, oh my God, that was a front runner.
That was so sad.
Yeah.
I think In the Heights is going to have a Da 5 Bloods path this year.
But
where at the end of the year, at the end of the year, people are going to be like, you know how Da 5 Bloods like totally died, and then like towards the end it was like got a little bump where it's like, oh, maybe it could get into Best Picture. I think In the Heights will get that, but it doesn't work out, sadly.
And also when it comes to animation, I think if Soul didn't get in and Spider-Verse didn't get in, I don't think they're going to nominate animated movies for Best Picture anymore.
No, it's sad. There's just a total bias there. I don't see any time in the near future where, sadly, an animated movie or a documentary could get into Best Picture. It's just...
There's even an animated documentary this year, which I'm really excited to see.
Flea, right?
Flea, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd love for that to get in. That'd be such a cool, groundbreaking thing, but not going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, with 10 slots, I mean, it should happen, but, probably not going to. Okay. So that's what we think about Best Picture this far out. Comment down below. What do you think are the biggest Oscar contending films at this point in the year? And what do you think of our predictions? And do you think Don't Look Up is going to be dumpster fire or a masterpiece?
Based as fuck. It's going to be based, and y'all are going to agree.
It will definitely be that at the very least. Okay, so please like, subscribe, do all that stuff, and we'll be here very soon with another Oscar film forecast predicting more Oscar-y things. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
Goodbye.